Hey guys, and welcome back to another quick ride review. This is a very special episode because I'm covering my baby, my favorite of all my bikes, my 2016 BMW RnineT Roadster that I like to call my cyber bike. Now I'm going to do the best I can to cover a lot of information so I don't bore you, and then we can get it on the road and see how this unique bike handles on the city streets of New York City and New Jersey. You also may notice that in the background there's some pretty cool cars. I'm actually here at the Hudson Stables where I have a workshop where I do my little custom work projects, which I'll cover on a future video. Now, into the bike. I had been riding a few years, but I'd always wanted a BMW RnineT. I loved the lines of it, particularly the aluminum tank option, which is pretty much one of the few only stock things on it. When I got it, it was around 10, 15,000 miles, really super well maintained and mostly stock. But I had full intention to take the next year and really make it my own. And it's been through several iterations. I wanted to maintain the aluminum appearance because it has that sort of neo-retro future look. Particularly, you'll note the handmade headlight and the completely handmade aluminum tail and custom seat by my friend T at McCoy's Upholstery, which I'm wearing his shirt here today. My friend Tim Harney, he's my mentor, my high school buddy. He's been teaching me TIG welding, metal shaping. I have a long way to go. But he was the one that helped me realize the headlight and taillight shape. We had been through a few iterations. We sat in his shop in Brooklyn, and we sketched out some designs and put some stuff together. And I'm really excited how it came out. Online, a lot of folks have complained that the headlight's very polarizing because they prefer a rounded headlight. But I saw a Vagabond Moto build of their RnineT, and they had a cool sort of like robot single slit headlight, similar in essence to this, but it was very non-functional. It was like a single LED strip. You couldn't really drive that around on the streets and actually see anything, so we wanted to build something functional. What you see there is actually like a $40 Amazon special fog light, but it works perfectly, doesn't blind any other drivers, great visibility at night. I ride this thing every day. Other unique items to cover is the titanium exhaust by my friend JC RnineT. Now we're actually going to be offering titanium exhausts. I'm partnering up with him. We'll cover that in a future video as well. But this thing gets a lot of compliments. Titanium is great for heat management. It has this really cool color when you sort of break it in. So it's blues and purples. It's also catalytic converter is removed. So, and then I have put a GP exhaust, which is loud. I'll admit it's loud, but combined with a cold air intake and a BT Tune engine flash, it has maybe another, I think of another 10 horsepower and a little bit more torque. So it's about 110 horsepower as is. Loads of torque, as you'll see when we do the test ride. Another thing, we have CNC badges. Ooh, another really cool thing to cover is the CNC'd triple tree and clip-ons. It is a very aggressive body position when riding this bike. I'll show you in a second, but it looks really cool. It has that nice flow to the body. We've replaced the analog gauges with the Monimoto, which really adds to the sort of like futuristic look. We'll get another shot of that when we get on the bike. We have a custom taillight here, just an LED strip. I've upgraded the shock. The stock shock on the RnineTs are awful, particularly the back. So we've replaced that with the Wilbur's adjustable racing shock. We have an aluminum handmade front fender by my friend JC RnineT. This gorgeous belly pan, also handmade by JC RnineT. He and I went back and forth on designs, and this was, I felt, the perfect shape for this because a lot of belly pans I've seen for this bike kind of cover up too much of the engine work, and I really like to see a lot of like the steampunk, the pipes, and the titanium. Oh, almost forgot. One of the most important upgrades I did to the handling of this bike were these forged aluminum wheels. Not cheap, but worth it, thanks to my friend JC RnineT for helping me source these. These are actually pretty rare on RnineTs, and I think more of you should pick this wheel up because it's incredible. It takes potholes well. It saved me roughly 5 to 10 pounds per wheel compared to the wire wheels that were from the factory. And if you learn, and we can cover this on a future video, unsprung weight is one of the biggest factors that affect your motorcycle's ability to corner, to handle, to turn. And once we changed these rims, these forged wheels, the bike handled immensely different and in an amazing way. I wish I did it first. So I would highly recommend upgrading wheels if you're very serious about the handling of your bike. But yeah, this bike has a lot of custom touches. I spent a whole year tinkering on it myself. I was under my building, taking the gas tank off, working on parts of the motor, trying to understand things, frying the electronics, getting help from friends to rewire the taillights and turn signals as I break things. But that's part of the process, is just breaking things and figuring it out. This is the first bike that I'd really taken the time to get my hands dirty, so to speak. Rizoma turn signals was the first thing I did, and I managed to break some pieces of plastic that I had to replace. It was a wonderful religious experience almost to feel what it's like to understand. I understand a lot of what's going on under the tank of this bike. I know how it works. I know my bike really well by putting my hands on it. Let's touch a little bit on the body position. I'm gonna turn it off to save the headlights. But the body position on this bike is very aggressive. You can actually see, now normally the handlebars are right up here, sort of scrambler style. They attach here, there's not clip-ons, so they're about like, I would say like this. And I thought that looked kind of silly on an aggressive, futuristic bike like this, so I did clip-ons. My friend JC-RnineT helped make these for me. They're black. We also replaced, there's normally gold fork covers on this bike. We replaced it with black tubes that I got, and Brooklyn Speed helped me install that because I'd never taken apart front forks before. Really aggressive position. I have Rizoma rear sets, but even so, you can see my body's really tucked, but this thing is an event. It's loud, it's aggressive, it maneuvers, it has loads of torque, and people hear me coming from a long way away. That being said, I don't want to bore you. Let's get on this bike and see what it's like to ride. Okay, guys, time for a quick ride. Firing up, and if you're ready, here is that brutally loud exhaust system. Woo, boy. I want to definitely close my helmet for sound. There you go. Okay, cool. Hopefully you can see, because I am heavily leaned forward. Cool. Off we go. So yeah, I mean, it's loud. And I'm not trying to be that guy that's like, oh, look at me. But this is my baby. My other bikes are a lot quieter. They're normal. This bike is pretty intense, sounding wise, but I wanted it to feel like an event with everything I do, you know? Like, I'm getting on it for a short trip. It's a visceral experience. This is my bike, just to feel like an extension of me. Truly my baby. Previous video, I'd mentioned that I felt sad whenever I saw bikes that folks hadn't offered their own personal touch on. You know, this bike is what it's all about. I honestly didn't spend a fortune on it. I mean, obviously not cheap, but probably for the price of a brand new S1000RR, I built this, like my own one-off thing that was featured in BMW social media, Bike EXIF, pipe burn, and I learned to wrench on it a lot myself. So a lot of it was my own work or help with friends, and if I didn't know how to do something, I asked friends for help and they taught me. I broke stuff on the bike and I figured out how to fix it. But very thankful. Brakes are super grippy. Semi-metallic brakes up front. What? Oh, there's a person there. Semi-metallic brakes up front. So it will stop really hard. Dual disc up front. Single disc in the back. and it'll stop. I will show you. That was like half power, and it stopped hard. Really good. Lots of torque. Normally I wear earplugs when I'm riding this thing, but here you go. And hard stop. Perfect. ABS kicked in there a little bit. But yeah. Like I mentioned before, those forged aluminum wheels and these great tires, this thing, it's easy to flick around. Super easy. When I'm riding around, I practice quick maneuvers by like driving around manholes, pretend they're cones. See that? But it's very easy. Night and day from the old wire wheels, which this bike didn't need. It's not an off-road bike. It's a street bike. Yeah, an unfortunate thing about the Boxer engine, it's cool to a to a certain point. At highway speeds, which you'll hear, it's very droney. It doesn't sound like those sexy V4s or twins or triples. I'd kill for those exhaust sounds. This thing just kind of sounds like a truck, but it's my baby, so I learned to love it. When I'm riding around, especially, and today I'm in Jersey, but when I'm around New York City, every stoplight, people give looks, thumbs up. Everybody's very nice about it, actually. A lot of thumbs up, a lot of like cool bikes. What is it? They have no idea what this bike is. And aside from the motor, the chassis, the single swing arm, and the tank, a lot of it's just been changed up. A few things to note. This is not an all-day bike. These clip-ons, I'm leaning forward. Thankfully, I've done some physical therapy on my back, and I have a good core, so I'm not putting too much weight on my hands, but it is easy just to like lean up here and for your hands to get tired. It does not have cruise control, and so I do this thing where I have a throttle lock. I only do that at highway speeds when I'm on 6th gear, because it's too jumpy in lower gears. But you know, if you have to relax your hands a little bit, you just lock that, and you hear the throttle's locked. It's locked. I'm only going 15 miles an hour. Watching myself, I normally wouldn't do that, but you get the idea. Great little city bike. As I mentioned in the R90 review, I love the Boxer, especially the look. It's nice and wide, feels very broad-shouldered. Look at that. Unlike that R90 I tested, there's a lot of space between my, oh nice one, S1000R, between my foot and the Boxer motor. In the R90, that vintage, my feet were under the head, but I have a lot of space there. I've never really had a big problem with heat on this bike. I don't know if it's because I have no cats and a titanium exhaust and the heat dissipates really well. But unlike my, say, my Harley or riding around on the Aprilia, it doesn't cook me. I don't feel like my legs are frying at stoplights. My helmet with the closed visor, definitely really hot right now. It is like 95 degrees. I'm risking heat stroke to get you guys good audio. See, that guy gave me a look, like he's like, what is that? That's generally the response. What is that? And that's cool. I like that people get a kick out of this bike. I don't want people to go like, oh, what a jerk. Maybe they say that because it's so loud. But a lot of people are generally like happy about it, entertained. And it is a little wide, so getting around, if you're deciding to lane split or something like that, it sometimes can be, you gotta be a little careful because it's a little wider than other bikes. I've been through a lot of mirror designs. Some are larger and smaller, don't have the best visibility, but these Puigs, hopefully I'm saying that right, are just the right size without being too wide. I could bring these clip-ons maybe a little bit in closer, but then my U-turn ability would be awful because my horn has a tendency when I'm doing a hard left turn, like U-turn, to hit the tank and set the horn off. It's quite embarrassing. Shocks feel good. I hit these bumps. You know, some of these are unavoidable, these potholes in the city, and they're not too bad. The front forks have been tuned and set up by Brooklyn Speed. They were just redone. And then my Wilbur's rear shocks are awesome. Definitely, if you're an R9T owner, that is one of the first upgrades I recommend, is replacing the rear shock, because the stock one is dog crap. I don't know why they do that. It is just not forgiving, very hard. So you probably expect to spend $800 to $1,000 on a good rear shock, but it will definitely change your riding comfort. Then I would recommend redoing your exhaust to get that good exhaust note, although the stock Akrapovic is pretty nice. And then I would do the wheels. Get yourself some lightweight wheels, whether that be carbon fiber if you're rich, or some forged aluminum if you're just love your bike, kind of like what I have. They're amazing. They really are amazing. I mean, look at me lean into this turn without even thinking. All right, let's get a little highway power, huh? Very easy to do that. I feel like I'm leaned all the way forward. Hopefully you can hear me. This bike is loud. But yeah, feels like second nature. I ride this bike so much, in every environment, every scenario, except off-road. All right, baby. It's a naked bike, so you feel like you want to be pushed off at higher speeds. Yes, it can do higher speeds. Do you really want to? Not really. I feel like this bike is optimized for 0 to 75, 80. And after that, you're just like, oh, do I want to fly off this thing? I understand that I rated the headlight and the fairing, but even the stock bike doesn't have a lot of wind coverage. So hopefully you guys can hear me, because I can barely hear myself. Like I said, I can do highway stuff. This bike is not really made for all day. It's your cafe racer. It's your ride between town, ride little errands and stuff. I throw on a backpack, go get some coffee, pick up a hard drive, something like that where I can just throw it in a pack really easily. Even my laptop bag, go in the office. I have spent all day on this, but it is pretty exhausting. It's not the worst in the world, but you're leaned very aggressively. You're in kind of like full-on attack mode. Leaning into it. Very easy to lean this bike though. It just doesn't pop up automatically. It really engages to the controls that you give it, which I very much appreciate the experience of riding this bike around town. But look at me just maneuver around these little potholes and stuff, and it's super easy. There you go. Shifting is very easy, typical BMW. It's well maintained. I get this bike regularly serviced, it's babied. I ride it, but it's serviced. Always treat your bike well. Check your tire pressure, check your fluids. I love how this bike looks. I love how it sounds. It truly is one of a kind. I'm proud that I've made it mine. And I plan on having this bike, hello. I plan on having this bike forever. I'll never sell this bike. I mean, of course, if my kid needs a kidney, of course I'll sell this bike. But if I have anything to say about it, this is like my forever bike. If I'm ever too tired or old or gas runs out on the planet, I will mount this on the wall. Just what a little piece of art. And I'm thankful that I built this thing with my friends. JC RnineT, Tim RnineT over at McCoy's Upholstery. I got a lot of friends that have their hands on this bike that really helped me make it my own. And again, when I didn't know how to do stuff, they came through and they showed me how, they taught me. Look at this nice little U-turn, nice and easy. That's the highlight of this bike, other than the looks, is the handling. Just super nice. Easy to do whatever I want with it without feeling unsafe or I'm pushing my limits. It respects every input I give it. So if you're gonna get into bikes, sure, learn to ride, take a lot of practice, take a lot of lessons like I have. I took a lot of lessons. Ride every day, get some seat time. Even if it's little short trips, get seat time as much as possible. Practice, 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 practice. And finally, learn to wrench on your own bike. You don't have to rebuild the engine or the transmission, but change the bodywork a little bit. Put a little love, make it your own. So yeah, to wrap this up, this bike is a perfect example of what a bike could be if you gave it some love, if you made it your own. It did not cost me a fortune. It cost me less than a brand new BMW. Just took me hours of time and love and commitment. And I suppose that's like any relationship. A motorcycle is a beautiful thing because you can engage it, you can make it your own. My direct body inputs make it move. You don't turn a wheel, it's not detached. I feel everything. I lean my body in, I put my knee down. I put my life and safety in the direct input and how I take care of this bike, how I control it, how I'm mindful of the environment around me. As a gearhead, the greatest thing you can do is to understand what it's like to ride one of these machines, to own one. One last final pull. Ooh, there's a Statue of Liberty. Let's go. Can you guys see the Statue of Liberty over there? It's pretty cool. We're near Liberty State Park. Pretty neat. Boom. Okay, well, that's our ride. I hope you enjoyed. I'm gonna have an interesting time trying to cut that down to a reasonable time, but I hope you enjoyed it. This is a good little bike. Look at it. Look how beautifully it shines in the light. It just glimmers, and very cool at night. I'll have to do another video where I'm riding around Times Square, but look at that aluminum just shine. Hope you enjoyed my license plate. Just a beauty, and it's mine. There's no other bike like it in the world. Do the same for your bike, whatever that may be. Anyway, thanks for watching, and catch you on the next Quick Ride Review.